When it comes to fat loss, everyone wants to talk about carbs, calories, and workouts, but almost no one wants to talk about the real barrier to your fat loss, your liver. Your liver is the hardest working organ in your body, and it decides whether you burn fat or store it. Under normal conditions, it does its job just fine without any help, but the problem is food companies are quietly loading everyday foods with ingredients that damage your liver, even the ones labeled healthy, and most people have no idea they're even eating them. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through all these foods I got at the grocery store, exposing 6 toxic ingredients that are destroying your liver and blocking fat loss, so you know exactly what to stop buying. And I'll show you which ingredients are shutting your liver down, the foods they're hiding in, and how to spot them while you're shopping. And as a bonus, I'll give you my free app that you can use the next time you go shopping to instantly see which foods are helping your liver and which ones are hurting it. Now to start, I need to show you why so many people are doing everything right and still can't lose fat. Most people don't fail at fat loss because they eat too much or don't exercise enough. They fail because they're unknowingly overloading their liver every single day. And like I said earlier, your liver is the organ that controls fat burning. And food companies are loading the food supply with ingredients that damage liver cells, slow bile flow, and clog fat metabolism, often in foods marketed as healthy. And that's one of the main reasons why fatty liver has exploded and why over 100 million Americans now have some degree of it. And when your liver gets backed up and clogged with fat, it stops doing its job. It stops burning fat, and your body starts storing it instead as a way to protect itself. Left unchecked, fatty liver doesn't just stall weight loss. It can progress into type 2 diabetes, heart disease, hormone problems, and eventually permanent liver damage. That's why identifying the foods harming your liver and removing them is so critical. However, this is where most people get stuck. That's because there are over 11,000 ingredients allowed in our modern food supply. And no one is trained to recognize which ones support the liver and which ones damage it. So that's why I personally went through every single ingredient, one by one, to determine what helps the body and what burdens the liver. It took me weeks to go through them all. And I would research them and dig into them. Would I put this in my mouth? Would I put this in my kid's mouth? Can I have it sometimes? Should I completely avoid it always? And I turned that work into a smartphone app that you can use right in the grocery store. And I'm going to show you how it works. I went to the store, spent hours with my wife scanning a bunch of foods, brought the most relevant ones right here. So then you can go down to your pantry right after this with the app with the simple download. You can pick up the foods, you can scan them, and it'll show you exactly which ingredients are toxic to your liver. So that's what you're going to see in real time right now. What's helping fat loss, what's blocking it, and really be able to identify these ingredients quickly. And then you can go try it for yourself. Go to your pantry, like I said, take it to the grocery store. The app is free on iOS and Android. I'll include a link to it to download in the description below. Now to start, I want to show you the ingredient that does more damage to your liver than almost anything else in the store: seed oils. Now here's an example of a product that uses them. It's going to pick up the scanner. We can go right to the barcode or actually take a picture of the ingredients themselves. But the real true story is told right here. Not nutrition facts, not on the front of the package, but go straight to the truth. That's where the ingredient scanner will come in handy. And there it is, not approved. This is where a lot of people get blindsided. Seed oils are not in foods because they're healthy. They're in foods because they're cheap, shelf-stable, and easy to mass produce. For most of human history, the fats people ate were things like butter, animal fat, olive oil, and coconut fat. Seed oils only became common in the last 100 years as food had to be processed, packaged, and shipped long distances, and your body was never designed to deal with them. These are heavily processed, exposed to heat and chemicals, often oxidized before you even eat them. So from the first bite, your liver is dealing with damaged fat. They're also loaded with linoleic acid, and this one, soybean oil, contains some of the highest levels. Linoleic acid is a fat that your body can handle, but in very small amounts. Today, we're eating 10 times more linoleic acid than we should be. We're eating it in quantities the liver simply can't manage. And when you eat seed oils, they don't just get burned for energy. They work their way into your liver cells and your cell membranes, where they create inflammation, slow bile flow. And bile matters. Bile is how your liver moves fat and toxins out of the body. While bile flow slows, everything else backs up. So instead of your liver efficiently burning fat, it gets stuck dealing with damaged fats and oxidative stress. And this is why I say seed oils are worse than sugar. Sugar might stress your system, but seed oils damage the machinery that's supposed to handle fat in the first place. And they take a really long time to exit your body. You can get rid of sugar quickly, but fats may take years. And what makes them even more dangerous is how common they are. They show up in foods people eat every day: salad dressings and sauces, crackers, chips, bread, buns, packaged snacks, frozen meals, even foods labeled heart healthy. And once they're in your body, like I said, they stick around for years. That's why people clean up their diet and still struggle to lose weight. Their liver is still dealing with the years of seed oil exposure. So this is always the first thing I have people remove when fat loss is stalled. If seed oils are still coming in, everything else is an uphill battle. Next, I'm going to show you the ingredient that overwhelms your liver faster than almost anything else: high fructose corn syrup and refined sugar in general. And it's found in simple things like ketchup. But when we go ahead and scan it, there it is. Not approved. High fructose corn syrup. Here's why this is such a big problem. Fructose is handled almost entirely by your liver. Unlike glucose, it doesn't get used by your muscles, and it doesn't get used by your brain. It goes straight to your liver. And when too much fructose hits at once, your liver can't process it efficiently. So it converts it into fat. That fat builds up inside your liver. And once your liver starts filling up with fat burning everywhere else slows down. Food companies know this ingredient works. They use it because it's cheap. It's intensely sweet. It's addictive. It lights up reward centers inside your brain and makes people want more. This is why you'll find high fructose corn syrup and refined sugars hidden in foods people eat every day. Not just soda, but sauces and condiments, salad dressings, bread, buns, yogurt, protein bars, cereals, granola, healthy snacks, and fruit drinks. And just like with seed oils, the damage adds up quietly. You don't feel it at first because the liver doesn't have pain receptors. You don't feel your liver, but fat burning slows. Blood sugar control worsens, and your body starts storing fat instead in order to protect itself. Left unchecked, this is one of the fastest ways to drive fatty liver, insulin resistance, and long-term weight gain. Next, I want to show you one of the biggest traps people fall into when they're trying to lose weight: artificial sweeteners. I'm talking about things like sucralose, aspartame, asulfamine, potassium. You usually see that listed as ACE-K, and sometimes saccharin. This is what most people switch to after they cut sugar to hit their macro amounts or to go keto, to do some kind of low sugar diet. But let me show you an example and explain why this is so toxic. Here's one of the most common examples. Going right into our coffees in the morning, trying to make it taste a certain way, 0 sugar, but let's go to where the truth is, and that's going to be in your ingredient label. So we can either take a picture of that or scan the barcode directly. And there it is, right out of the gates. Not approved, and there's the ACE-K. See, this one feels safe on paper. 0 calories, 0 sugar, diet, low carb. But here's the problem. Artificial sweeteners are still synthetic chemicals, and your liver still has to process them. So even though they don't raise calories, they still add to your liver's workload. Plus, this has toxic seed oils and artificial ingredients, another form of artificial sweeteners. And when your liver is busy detoxing chemicals, especially sucralose has a fast pass where it jumps to the front of the line of any other toxin in your body, medications, chemicals you've come in contact with. Sucralose will be first to get detoxed. So it takes up detoxing the rest of the toxins you came in contact with just because you drank some sucralose and some artificial sweeteners. So then your liver is busy detoxing those chemicals, and it has less capacity to do what you actually want it to do: burn fat. And like I said, sucralose is especially problematic. Your body can't metabolize it or use it for energy. So your liver treats it like something that needs to be removed. And every time you consume it, your liver has to prioritize detox, especially that one specific artificial sweetener, over fat metabolism. And here's something most people don't know. Artificial sweeteners confuse your metabolism. Your body tastes something sweet, so it prepares for sugar. Insulin gets signaled, digestive hormones get released, but the sugar never arrives. Over time, that mismatch makes your insulin signaling less reliable, which makes fat loss less predictable. And this is why people can switch from soda to diet soda, or from sugar to sucralose, sugar-free, or from regular to light, and they still see no change, or sometimes even gain weight. And just like the other ingredients we've talked about, artificial artificial sweeteners show up in way more places than people realize. Things like diet sodas and flavored waters, sugar-free coffee drinks, protein powders, shakes, low-carb snacks and desserts, sugar-free gum and supplements. They're marketed as a solution, but to your liver, they're just adding another thing that it has to deal with. That's why diet and sugar-free foods are some of the most misleading products in the store. So if an artificial sweetener shows up on the label or shows up when you do a scan, put the food back on the shelf. Now I'm going to show you an ingredient that doesn't just affect your liver, it actually changes how much you eat. MSG, monosodium glutamate. Here's a great example. I used to eat a lot of this stuff as a kid. It's just rice, right? Rice is healthy for you. Well, let's go to the truth and let's scan the barcode. There it is, not approved. Food companies don't add MSG to make food healthier. They added it so I would eat this entire box in one sitting, and I did. They add it to make cheap food taste better and keep you coming back for more. MSG, monosodium glutamate, is a flavor enhancer. It overstimulates taste receptors. It's actually categorized as an excitotoxin. An excitotoxin excites brain cells to death. It makes food feel more satisfying than it actually is. That's why foods with MSG are so hard to stop eating. You don't feel full faster, you just want another bite. And there's a lot of code names for it. This one has multiple. Autolyzed yeast extract, hydrolyzed soy protein or corn gluten. These are all code words for monosodium glutamate. So this has at least 4 sources of monosodium glutamate, MSG, involved in it. From a liver standpoint, this creates a double problem. First, MSG is another chemical that your liver has to process, even though it provides no nutrition at all. Second, because it makes food more appealing, it leads to overeating, especially foods that are already low quality. That's why MSG shows up in so many everyday foods, especially ones that are highly processed. Things like snack chips and crackers, seasoned packets, frozen meals, soups, broths, processed meats, savory sauces and dressings. A lot of the time, it doesn't even say MSG like we said on the label. It hides under names like autolyzed or hydrolyzed, a yeast extract, a protein, a soy protein, flavor enhancers. So people think they're avoiding it, but they're not. This is what makes MSG so dangerous. The only way to avoid it is either memorize all the various names or get something that tells you what those names are and if it's present in your groceries. Next, I want to show you a food a lot of people eat because they're trying to do the right thing: protein. Specifically though, processed protein, processed meats. Let's bring home the bacon and have a look. Okay, if I scan it, there it is, not approved. This one is tricky because protein does matter for fat loss, but the way this protein is processed completely changes how your body responds to it. Processed meats are things like deli meat, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, jerky, pre-cooked or prepackaged meats. Almost all of these rely on preservatives like nitrite and nitrates. Those preservatives are used to keep the meat looking fresh and to extend its shelf life. From your liver's perspective, that's the problem. Before it can do anything useful with the protein, it has to deal with those preservatives first. So instead of using protein to support muscle and metabolism and fat burning, your liver is busy neutralizing chemicals. And the more often that happens, the more your liver falls behind. And most processed meats are combined with seed oils, added sugars. This one has actual sugar, and dextrose, which is code name for sugar, and flavor enhancers, which compounds the damage. So what looks like a high protein meal choice ends up stacking multiple liver stressors in one food. This is why people can eat high protein diets and still struggle with weight, especially when most of the protein is coming from processed sources. Remember, protein helps fat loss, but processed protein works against it. If you want your liver to actually recover and your metabolism to respond, this is another category that needs to come out, at least while you're trying to reset things. Now I want to show you one of the most misleading health foods in the entire store: fructose and fructose containing foods. This includes juice, this includes yogurts. This is one of those things people buy because they think they're doing better, but let me show you what I mean. See, we'll get these foods that we're told to have, like a yogurt or like a juice, that are supposed to be really good for us. But when we go ahead and scan a food like this yogurt, here it is, right out of the gates. Fructose, not approved. Here's why this matters. Fructose is processed almost entirely by the liver. It doesn't get shared with your muscles. It doesn't get used by your brain. It goes straight to the liver. Now, that's not a problem if fructose comes from whole fruit, because the whole fruit slows it down with fiber and chewy. But juice or yogurt with fructose in it strips all of that away. So instead of a slow drip, your liver gets hit with a fructose flood. And it doesn't have an off switch. It keeps processing until it gets overwhelmed. And when that happens, it converts the excess into fat. That fat builds up inside the liver first. And once the liver is carrying extra fat, it becomes less efficient at everything else it's supposed to do, including burning fat from the rest of your body. And this is exactly why heavy juice drinkers or heavy yogurt eaters get stuck. It feels healthy. It's marketed as vitamins in a bottle or in a container. But to your liver, it's concentrated sugar without the protection nature built in. This doesn't just apply to juice, and it doesn't mean you never drink juice. But if you're trying to reach weight loss goals, burn up fat, heal your liver, control and lower your blood sugar levels, this is why this needs to be cut out for a period of time. And I would always be skeptical of things like yogurt that have added fructose. Any food with added fructose is putting extra pressure on your liver. But this also applies, and the same thing happens to smoothies that are loaded with lots of fruits like mangoes and pineapples, fruit bowls, even dried fruit, natural sweeteners like agave. Agave is 90% fructose. Anytime fructose is concentrated or added, and you strip it of the fiber that is naturally occurring in the orange, for example, your liver pays the price. So if fat loss has stalled and juice is still part of your regimen or yogurt is still part of your regimen, it might be time to stop drinking it or stop eating it, at least while you're trying to heal and lose weight. And then once you have healed, you've lost the weight, your liver is healed, you can add these foods back in. Like my kids drink some organic juice, but they also love oranges in the full fiber form. But they don't have to lose any weight or heal. And my wife actually enjoys eating some yogurt. But when we get it, we get a Greek yogurt with no added fructose or other ingredients, with live active cultures. So it's benefiting to the gut and inflammation inside of your body. So you can do these foods right, but if you're trying to heal and lose weight and get your body back to a state that you're proud of, these things probably have to go. Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. How am I supposed to remember all of this? Seed oils, hidden sugars, artificial sweeteners, MSG, processed meats, excess fructose. You shouldn't have to memorize ingredient lists or become a food detective just to shop for groceries. That's exactly why I built this app. So you can get content and learn, but you can scan foods right in the store and get a clear answer in seconds on whether or not a food should be going into your body or your family's body. It'll at least tell you whether or not I'd give it to myself or my kids. And like I said, it's free. You can download it right now for iOS or Android and start using it the next time you shop, or use it at your pantry today. I'll include a link to the app in the description below. All you have to do when you download it is just create a login, create an account. That's it. And then you just click on scanner in the lower part. You can use the ingredient scanner. You can check out all of my free content, and you can consider even becoming a member, which gets you our community tab and coaching and extra access inside the library. So I'll put a link for that below. Now you know it's destroying your liver and blocking fat loss. But removing the wrong foods is only half the equation. If you want your liver to actually recover and for fat burning to turn back on, you need to start adding the right foods back in. That's exactly what I break down in my other video called The 7 Foods to Heal Your Liver and Burn Fat Fast. In it, I'll show you the everyday foods that help your liver clear out fat, restore bile flow, and get your metabolism working the way it's supposed to again. I'll include a link to that video here. Click to watch it next, and I'll see you there.